in different parts of Kenya. Our urban planning must also give us the same opportunity. We need to decongest Nairobi and the other 5 or so major metropolis so that we create alternative settlements in smaller towns, in smaller municipalities, because we all understand that there is now competition between land that we are using for food production and land that is used for settlement. And therefore, townships, towns, and cities will give us an opportunity to remove the pressure that currently is on agricultural land by making sure that we settle people in urban centers so that we can free land that is used for agricultural production to feed the nation. Therefore, from where I sit, we have really an opportunity. Even as we think about the municipalities, I don't think the municipalities take away from the counties. In fact, I think they build the counties. They assist the counties in making sure that pressure is not concentrated on a few towns. And the more we improve governance, the more we improve facilities in the municipalities, the greater the opportunity we give ourselves to remove pressure from the large cities. It is also the reason why we discussed about the county aggregation industrial parks to try and create alternative centers of value addition, agro-processing, possibly manufacturing. It is also the reason why today we have 6 new special economic zones targeted at exports. Again, away from Nairobi, away from Mombasa, into towns like Sagana, into towns like Thika, into Naivasha, into Nakuru, into Busia, and we will continue to expand those facilities so that we make sure that we create real alternative centers of growth, working with counties as we manage this imminent urbanization. Well-managed urbanization is integral to our economic development agenda, aligning with Vision 2030 and the attainment of sustainable development goals. Our investment in infrastructure expansion, connectivity enhancement, and overall accessibility, safety, and security improvements are informed by the fact that urban areas are the epicenters of our bottom-up economic transformation agenda. We must therefore be involved in designing and implementing the institutional architecture necessary to manage these vital investments. Accordingly, the Kenya Urban Support Program 1 has enabled us to establish foundational institutions that will drive our sustainable and inclusive urbanization agenda. Primarily, this will be the 77 municipalities as well as 2 special municipalities across 45 counties. This is a substantial portion of the 300 urban areas identified in Kenya, 220 of which require development investment in order to achieve our urbanization policy objectives. I am therefore encouraged that Kenya Urban Support Program 1 delivered the foundation from which we shall now proceed to actualize our ambition of holistically achieving sustainable urban development by enhancing the resilience of infrastructure and services, engaging the private sector in urban planning and development, and integrating refugee camps with host communities. We all agree that our urban development strategy requires sustainable financing, but this has not been forthcoming at the levels expected. It is crucial, therefore, that the World Bank's 350 million or 46.5 billion funding for the second Kenya Urban Support Program is utilized responsibly and optimized for maximum benefits. Let me say this. We've been informed here that KUSIP 1 was satisfactory. I think that tells us something. Satisfactory is not good. We just managed. Maybe we got a C or something. I think it is important, and it's now a reminder for us that KUSSIP 2 must be excellent. We must all work together towards making KUSSIP 2 a real game changer. And several components have been put there to make sure that this succeeds. I'm very happy that the World Bank country director has said that there is 100 million to support this program on capacity building. It is very important that that money is deployed to make sure that this program is understood and this program succeeds. Capacity building is very important because it gives us the framework and the understanding so that the implementation of this program can move seamlessly. I want to ask the World Bank to make sure that the resources, at least for capacity building, comes ahead of any other resources, so that those in municipalities, those in counties, staff in our ministry can understand this program to avoid wastage, to avoid pilferage, to avoid corruption, and to avoid theft. Because the reason why we were qualified as satisfactory is because certain things did not go properly. We must get it right this time round. I want to commit to my colleagues, governors, and leaders here that we will go out of our way to assist you to make sure that this program is implemented in an accountable manner so that the people of Kenya get value for the resources that eventually we are going to pay. Equally critical is the county governments to increase on-source revenue and to allocate a greater portion to urban development activities. For our part, the national government is establishing the National Urban Development Fund to anchor the urban development agenda in a sustainable framework. I have already asked the Ministry of responsible for lands, housing and urban planning, and Treasury to sit together so that we can put a framework in place that will give us the resources, working with other partners, to assist us manage the big cities and urban areas so that Sakaja doesn't have to complain that they are left out in this program. But Sakaja has mentioned one more very important thing, that municipalities, cities, and urban areas bring Kenyans from all walks of life into one place, and they create a home there. It helps in the homogeneity of our society, bringing Kenyans together, working together. I think it is a very positive thing. It is not a negative thing when Kenyans come and live together and bond together. That is the future. And I think we should encourage townships, municipalities, cities, because that way we not only remove pressure from land for agricultural production, but we also bring Kenyans into a space where we deal with the challenge of ethnicity that undermines our nationhood as a people. There is no doubt that climate change will continue to pose mounting challenges to our development and serious threats to human health and safety, especially in urban areas where 60% of residents live in informal settlements. I say this statement of 60% with a very heavy heart, because informal settlements, ladies and gentlemen, are very unhygienic, very indecent livelihoods where Kenyans live. And we must do whatever it takes, using the resources we have. The resources we have under KUSSIP will help us do planning, These resources will help us deal with stormwater, will help us deal with sewage, will help us deal with lighting, will help us deal with titling and organizing our informal settlements. And our housing plan will help us have decent homes for these Kenyans. We have close to 7 million people in Kenya living in informal settlements, and they deserve our attention. The ongoing flooding, owing to abnormally high rainfall, underscores the urgent need for us to address this issue with very particular and specific attention. I am therefore delighted that the second urban support program has a strong climate change mitigation and resilience component, which further demonstrates our commitment to build adaptable cities and communities that are resilient in the face of dynamic environmental risks. In particular, the focus on the most vulnerable through building climate resilience for the urban poor is very commendable, and I will be looking out specifically for municipalities, cities, and towns that are keen on making sure that we support the urban poor. The synergy between the Kenya Urban Support Program and our bottom-up economic transformation agenda is unmistakable. In particular, the program's alignment with the affordable housing strategy pillar presents a unique opportunity to invest in urban infrastructure that supports the realization of the affordable housing objectives in order to deliver holistic, sustainable, and inclusive urban development. As we embark on implementing the second urban support program, we must take advantage of both the achievements and lessons of its predecessor, the most salient of which is the seamless coordination and effective partnership between the national and county governments. The State Department of Housing remains our focal point and must redouble its effort to ensure the project's success is achieved. And I'm very happy staff of the Ministry of the Department of Housing are here to listen to me say this. It is very important. With their tremendous contribution to GDP, our urban areas are significant economic engines and centers of technology development and innovation. In fact, the 5 largest cities alone account for over 70% of our total GDP in Kenya. It follows that their governance and management matters fundamentally for national development. It is critical that county governments prioritize the establishment of full-fledged urban institutions with robust governance and management. Again, I heard Hansen say clearly that they are also going to use resources to support the governance of these cities. I want to ask my friends governors, it is a mark of very strong leadership if you can delegate and if you can make sure that these municipalities have some measure of autonomy for them under your supervision to make sure that they deliver on the program that you give to them. It is really a mark of very strong leadership if you can assign other people to do the job at that other level. Of course, still under your management and supervision. And I think this program will be keen on how governance relations between the municipalities, the cities, the counties, of course, and the national government, how we relate for the better delivery of this program. I take this opportunity to appreciate with gratitude the support of the World Bank, whose investment and leadership have done so much for the transformation of our centers of accelerated development. We do not take your partnership, Hansen and your organization, for granted. We believe this partnership is a partnership that gives us a win-win outcome. It is also important for me to thank the participating county governments for their commitment, which has been demonstrated time and time again over the course of this initiative. I look forward to witnessing a more urgent, focused, and ambitious approach to this program. Let me say this in conclusion. As I have said, this program talks to an imperative that we cannot change: urbanization. As to whether the future is urban or not, I think we have settled that subject. The future is urban. It is now up to us. Are we going to have towns, municipalities, and cities that are planned, or are we going to leave it to be chaotic and confused? The responsibility is ours. Now, with COSIP 1, we made some strides. We saw a lot of non-motorable transport, several hundred kilometers. We saw a lot of stormwater management. We saw a lot of sewage extension programs. We saw planning of different parts of cities. We now have an opportunity to scale that up. And the resources now we have will give us an opportunity. As we do housing, you have the opportunity working with us to make sure that that program dovetails into this COSIP program in terms of where you choose to deploy the road infrastructure, where you choose to deploy our sewage management system, where you choose to deploy non-motorable pathways and those other programs, how we plan cities more. We have agreed that the program of housing is going to be done in conjunction with the county governments. The housing fund now has representation from multi-stakeholders so that we can all move together as we plan our cities. As I have said, there is $100 million, Hansen, did you say, for capacity, $1 million. $1 million for capacity building. Those resources are important, as I said, so that we can improve on the governance, we can improve on the understanding, and it gives us better leverage on the understanding to deliver on this program. So again, we appreciate the $100 million, the $1 million, sorry, and I will ask the National Treasury, in the event that there is need for that kitty to be expanded, we should expand that kitty for greater understanding and greater knowledge, so that we can make sure that all those who will have an opportunity to deliver on this program have the requisite understanding, so that we don't get a satisfactory outcome, we get an excellent outcome this time around. Let me also say that there's a component that has been said, contextualizing this program, about on-source revenue. I know when we speak about on-source revenue, there is a bit of discomfort. But let me say this. Of the money we have here is $300 million. That's about 40 billion. That 40 billion is a loan. It is not free money. And it is money that has been contributed by